we are in the QBO gym, and this is where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you want to do an entire month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get into today's exercise, which is being pulled from our August Year 1 warm-ups section. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client, Craig, this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Under that are all of the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have completed all of the exercises in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's get into today's exercise, which is where we are going to practice adding expenses. Go ahead and click on that link to have it pulled up for you. I have the exercise here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through the scenario. Craig left you some receipts, one for the salvia and other plants he purchased from Tanya's nursery, and a couple others too. Record these expenses. Click on the link under the animated warm-ups video to grab a copy of the receipts. So if you go back here in the gym and scroll towards the top, here is that animated video, and then there is a button that says stack of receipts. Go ahead and click on that to have it downloaded. Once you download and open it up, this is what it will look like. We can see the one for Tanya's nursery, one for Chin's gas and fuel, and then another one for computers by Jenny. Now, you will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did the 2 previous exercises in. If you have not completed those exercises yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to the first exercise. Complete that one and the one after that until you come back to this one. They all build on each other, so it's important to start with that first one. I have the sample company open here on the left side of my screen. This is the last page that I left off of from the previous exercise. So let's get started with this one. Using the receipt from Tanya's nursery, we're going to enter the expenses for the salvia and chrysanthemums for what we see here on the receipt. Now, the mums will be invoiced to Red Rock Diner later, and the salvia plants were already purchased by Amy at the office with the cash. If you remember from a previous exercise in the warm-up section, that was what we had recorded, that sales receipt. So to get started, we're going to click on the plus new button and then select expense. The plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Click on that, and then under vendors, select expense. Once it comes up, let's go ahead and fill it out. In the payee field, we want to select Tanya's nursery, so click the down arrow. You can either scroll or you can start typing in her name. Either way is perfectly fine. Once you do find her name, go ahead and click on it. In the payment account field, we're going to select MasterCard. So click that down arrow and then select MasterCard. And we can see that here that it was paid with the MasterCard, which is why we are changing this payment account to be the MasterCard. Now we're going to complete the rest of the expense details starting with the assorted plants. Because these are general plants and not the specific salvia that we set up previously, we're going to use the category details grid, which is right here. And as a note here, the payment date here is going to default to today, but of course in real life you would want it to match the date of the actual expense. But for this exercise, we can just leave it as is. So let's go ahead and fill out this category details grid. We want to, in the category field, select plants and soil. So click into that by clicking on the down arrow, and you will scroll down just a tiny bit to see plants and soil. This is the one that we want. And as a note here, there is another account. It's an income account that has a very similar name here. So if you start typing it in, you may see 2 results. The one that we want is the expense plants, and soil. It's a sub account of job materials. In a real life scenario, if you have two accounts that are similarly named, the recommendation is to change the name of one of them so you don't accidentally select the wrong account. So once you get this one, go ahead and click on it. We're going to complete the rest of the row as follows. In the description field, let's go ahead and type plants. So click into it, go ahead and type plants. Now, as a note here, QBO pre-fills data from the last transaction for Tanya. If you notice, the job expenses was already there as well as this amount. This is due to a setting in the account and settings. For the purpose of this exercise, we're just going to type over it, but just know that you have the option to have that selected in the account and settings so that it would pre-fill data, or you can have it turned off so it doesn't. It's really just up to you and what your preference is. Now, the receipt does not provide a total, but QBO can do that for you. In the amount field, we're going to type 10 times 12, and when you tab out, you will see that the total amount will change to $120. Now, that is because we can see here in this quantity that it says 10, and the price for each one is 12. Now, if you can do the math, 10 times 12, you know that it's going to be $120. But let's say that it's not this easy of the math. This is a great way to have that amount show up for you. So click into that amount box, go ahead and delete what is currently there, and then we'll do that 10 times 12. Hit the tab key over, and then QBO makes that account or makes that equation calculation for you. So now it's $120. This expense is going to be invoiced to Red Rock Diner, so let's make that note here. We're going to click on the checkbox under billable, so click on that, and then the customer, we want to select Red Rock Diner. Click the down arrow and go ahead and scroll, or again, you can start typing in their name. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. All right, so next we want to add these salvia plants. We already have that set up as a product when we recorded Amy's purchase in a previous exercise. So we're going to use the item details grid to record the purchase from Tanya's. You may need to click on the arrow to open up the grid. So that we're talking about right here, there is this category details and then there is this item details. You want to click on the arrow next to item details to open up that grid. If you want to collapse this, you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to leave it open for right now, but it's totally your preference. So in that product service field, let's go ahead and type or select salvia. So I'm going to click into it. I'm just going to type it so that I can easily have it pulled up for me. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it. We don't need a description here. So in the quantity field, we want to type what is here on the receipt, which is 6. So click into that quantity, adjust this to 6. In the rate field, we're going to type 10, and that is because that is the cost of each one. So in that rate field, click into it, type 10. When you hit the tab key over, you will see that QBO automatically makes that calculation of 6 times 10 equals a total of 60. Now you can see here, just double check, the total is showing as 180, and you can see that the total is showing as 180, so we have filled this out correctly. We're going to move on to the next one by clicking on Save and New. So click the down arrow, excuse me, next to Save and Close, and then select Save and New. And that one has been saved, and a new one has now appeared for us. Oops, there we go. There we go. All right, so next we want to record Craig's fuel expense at Chin's, which you can see right here for $55. While it doesn't say it on the receipt, you know that Craig always uses his MasterCard for fuel purchases. So let's go ahead and fill this out by selecting Chin's Gas and Oil here in the Payee field. Click the down arrow, and it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one listed on here. We're going to leave the payment account field as is for the MasterCard, as we mentioned before. Note that the information from Craig's last gasoline purchase fills in automatically right here, including the payment account, which is showing here there as well. Also, just note that payment date, you would change it. Of course, in real life, we're going to let it default to today. So we don't need to change the category since that is the correct category here. We just need to update the amount for $55. So click in that amount field and replace that with 55 so it matches the receipt. Hit the tab key over, you will see that the total has now been updated by QBO. And that's it for this expense. We don't need to do anything else here. So we're just going to once again click on Save and New because we have that one final receipt for Computers by Jenny. So click that Save and New and it will save that expense we just created here. And a new one will now appear for us. So Craig purchased 2 electronic tablets from Computers by Jenny for his field workers. We want to record the expense from his receipt. So if we look at the receipt, it looks like there's the 2 tablets for $600 total, and it was paid with check 101. So we know how the payment method for this particular one. So let's first in the payee field select Computers by Jenny, click the down arrow, and then if you scroll just a tiny bit, you will see that she is listed here. Go ahead and click on it. Remember, this is paid this was paid with a check. So in the payment account field, we want to adjust this to checking. Click the down arrow, select checking. Once again, we're going to leave the default date as is. In real life, of course, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but make sure that the date is matching the date of the payment. It's so important when you are doing your books for clients that the dates are matching properly. So just as a very important note there, that's why I keep mentioning it with the payment date field. All right, so in the payment method field, it is a check. So click on the down arrow and then select check. And then in the reference number field, we want to type the check number that was used, which was check number 101. So click in that reference number field, type 101. And then let's fill out the rest. Now note that Craig doesn't track individual tablets, and so we would use the category details grid right here. So let's go ahead and complete that first line in the category field. Let's go ahead and select purchases. So click into it. I am actually just going to go ahead and start typing it so it pops up for me. Once you find it, click on it. Let's just give a description of what this was for, which was the tablets. So click into that, type tablets, and then the amount from the receipt, which was $600. So in the amount field, type 600. When you hit the tab key over, you will see that QBO makes the adjustment to have the total as 600. We have completed this expense and recorded it, so now we just need to click on Save and Close. Click on the down arrow next to Save and New and then select Save and Close. And now that expense has been saved as well. And that is it. That is how you would record expenses. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. We're going to continue on, so if you want to join, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the next exercise in the warm-up section, where we practice processing the bank fee transactions. And I will see you in the next video.